Good
Oh,
job.
baby, we did it. We got into StarCraft 2. We're casting StarCraft 2. Let's go. Sorry for that extended period of just Zeph and I talking to each other. I don't even remember what we're talking about. That's how long that period went
Nothing
for.
good.
Nothing good. Oh, God. In the bottom left here from Invictus Gaming in the red, this is MacSed.
His opponent and teammate. He's a blue Terran. His name is Coffee.
Indeed. The owner and proprietor of the coffee grinder, which actually showed us on this map. It's one of the wonderful things about Oxide. You have that choke point with the rocks at the third base where the Protoss gets their third nexus. And I don't remember which Protoss it was, but they just lost 60 army supply to this wall of tank and bio.
That's right. Oh, I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
He had some sick moments last season, man.
Yeah. He's a great player. He's very exciting.
He is. I'm hoping that he hasn't diverted. What's hard, dude? Oh my goodness.
Like, normally I'd like throw out a lifeline, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna let it go.
No, he's just gonna let me drown.
I'm gonna let it go. Let's
where
see
like
how
the
she
person
does.
is literally drowning and they just get a high five.
It's like, quick, grab my hand. I'm like, oh, high five, dude. I saw, man. Great day.
Yeah, what I was trying to say, if you'll forgive my stuttering here, is I hope he hasn't changed his style too much, because I really did enjoy the aggressiveness that he brought and the willingness to attack. He was finding the right moment. And he made some moves that gave us pause, right? We're like, oh my God, I don't know if this is the right thing, but he comes out on top again and again. And it's so much fun. Especially when you've had some slower games in the mix as well, and you get to sort of sit back and relax. So that change of pace is nice.
Yeah, indeed. Things looking pretty slow pace-wise here for the Terran, though. Opening no Reaper. The Reaper expand, I thought would just be a part of Terran's mainstay forever. That'd just be a thing that you do. The Reaper expand. Because it makes a lot of sense. You get your fast unit across the map. You can cliff jump. Like, the maps are designed for Reapers to get into the main. And Terrans are just like, nah. If we cut that Reaper, we get a faster factory. And the SCV can show us enough.
Crazy. I think it has been interesting. It's been a few months without a new patch and new maps, how the little things like that change. Look, I'm trying not to get into it here, right?
It's like, yeah, it's been a few days since the last patch. Like 700.
Yeah, a couple of minutes.
Memes. You laugh because what else can you do, Don't want to cry on broadcast. Crying on broadcast is a bit of a faux pas. The Adept getting gunned down, but these Marines, we went fantastic. Actually, oh, I thought it was out of there. She's gunned down. That's unfortunate for MacSed.
Yeah.
Very good to get that first Adept. And now, basically, the Protoss is in the blind. Just doesn't know what the Terran's doing at all.
Yeah, I think he does the initial scout to just check that everything's there. Does the follow-up with the Adept, and okay, that's it now. And Coffee is going to kick things off with a medevac. I wonder, is this going to be straight Marines? Is he taking like Marines plus the couple of mines?
It looks like just the mines.
Yep.
The Marines are positioned in the main base in a way that, while the Protoss doesn't have any information, Coffee doesn't either. All he's seen is an Adept. And what he scouted earlier with the SCV was just to make sure that the Protoss was expanding, right? So he doesn't know if there's a Stargate or not. And the Marines are in position just in case an Oracle is coming up to the right edge of that map.
And unsuspecting of the danger nearby, he slithers into this main base, bypassing the spotter pylon on the top mid-left, I should say there, and in come the mines. Now, quick pull from MacSed. There's not going to be a whole lot to target here.
Yeah, gets the medevac. Okay. To say probe kills in the fight, like getting 5 of them here is actually quite nice. But considering the medevac died, that's not that good for Coffee. You see, the resources lost is definitely on the the Terran side of things. So Protoss does trade a little bit better there, and MacSed is still up the a good enough amount of workers to still have that I don't know what you call it, but like there's an asymmetric economic balance, I guess, which is a very long-winded way of saying that Protoss generally have more workers and more bases than Terran often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very nice way of putting that.
It's way too late in the evening for that sentence. I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah, I had to take a second to admire that. The thing is, MacSed is coming in here with the Warp Prism. He's already got the Stalkers on the low ground being pests. And that is going to force a repair from Coffee. But the Warp Prism's going in from the back end, and we have the Terran not quite in position for that. There is a tank, but he's still going to have to pull off the mineral line here nonetheless, because it's just not quite enough coverage.
Prism in the main being a bit of a jerk here. Not enough map to actually catch the Prism, so there's lots of dead space between the 3 o'clock base and the 1 o'clock main base. So Prism can sit there forever until the Viking's out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like MacSed is very much a Colossus guy. We don't see him really do disrupt that much, but anyway, he's adding on a bunch of extra gates. He got a third behind this harassment as well, and heading into that Colossus in charge. So he's going to have quite a nice army ready to go. Coffee is actually going to make a third CC here. I was just double checking that he's not gearing up for a big old 2 base.
Maybe. And MacSed is going single forge here, but definitely on the macro focus this time. He's actually missed a few rounds of probes because he should be a little bit further along in probes than he is right now. And maybe he's missed like a couple rounds from the 3 Nexi as soon as when that 3rd Nex is finished. As is usually the case here, Terran is up in army supply, a little bit down in workers, but this is very, very normal. Usually the Terran is the one that attacks the Protoss first, which is why you have that extra bit of army supply. It's like try and get something done with it. Makes sense. It's gonna try and drop. Oh, Natural also getting hit as well. Like an auto turret harassment from the Raven, which is forcing the attention of MacSed here. But a scan in the main is basically saying, hey, I'm dropping here.
Yeah. That was actually a pretty nice move otherwise, because you do a little distraction, and even though you go past the pylon, maybe he doesn't notice and you can get in there, but whole lot of upgrades finishing for both players here. Coffee does actually need to evacuate the position or he'll get taken out. MacSed still has stuff in the main there as well though, so that might be something that he can leave there for later. We'll see if he gets a chance to go in, but at the moment, I don't really see much of an opportunity to do some damage against MacSed. He's actually going to come in. There's not a huge amount here, but that's charged with extended thermal lance Colossus.
Yeah, I think that MacSed's army is woefully inadequate for this particular battle. He's going to have to disengage, I think. Shaving off the zealots, whatever he can grab, but does need to disengage. Cannot commit to this fight. MacSed would just swipe him with the laser beams, and he'd be crying back to that natural, and with a pretty big army supply deficit. Is reactoring out Vikings here, and really I think that the right call for Coffee is to just be patient, saturate the 3rd, get the Viking count a little bit more considerable, maybe get the 2nd armor upgrade done. You see that the armory is done and a 2nd engineering bay is on the way, so he's looking to still play the later stage of the game here. No signs from Coffee that he's going to go all in or anything like that. Looks like the idea is macro game for both players. Little concerned that MacSed isn't getting the 2nd forge, I guess. But other than that, I'm fine with it. I'm a little bit worried about his units being a little bit squishy to the upgraded attacks of the bio units.
Yeah, they could be a little bit boppable. That army from Coffee has a lot of muscle in it.
Yeah, a lot of DPS.
Especially, if he gets set up how he wants. That's been one of his greatest strengths. It's so hard to crack him after that. But so far, MacSed has done well. There hasn't been a whole lot in the way of successful harassment from Coffee. He's still got pretty good vision to be spotting these things, and he's kept these stalkers on the edge of the main here ready to respond. Look how nice. He pulls it back to try and bait him in a little bit.
Like, oh, look, a drop. Oh, no, you got it. Wow, you're such a good Protoss player. Oh, nice catch there. Well done, MacSed.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
I love the death sounds on this.
It'd be cool if MacSed could actually, or rather Coffee could capitalize on MacSed kind of 1Aing a little bit there. Sending everything over to the top left. It felt like that there was opportunity maybe for Coffee to go through the middle and poke that third base. But that said, though, there is actually a really good map control for the Protoss now. That I can kind of the quality of that clean feed isn't super HD. It's a little grainy, and when I squint my eyes and look with my old man peepers, I can see that there's actually a few red dots out there. So he actually has pretty good map control. Maybe a couple observers, maybe a couple zealots on the map to see. So it's observers there and zealots to see when the Terran pushes.
I mean, look at this. Again, there's a perfectly positioned observer, so he sees this unloading over here. And if you think about it, Coffee's been sending stuff across the map almost constantly. Every minute, there's something out here. And none of it's really been able to capitalize on MacSed's lack of positioning because he's always there. He's always seeing it before it hits. And
Is that the Warp Prism?
Yeah, I think it was.
Baby.
Yeah. That's a nice catch.
It's an empty Warp Prism by the looks of things, but still, getting that thing dead is... You bring the side of relief as a Terran every time you kill a Prism. It gives you a little bit more life. You're like, oh, great. You know 100% that you're not going to have Zealots in your main base, at least for a few more minutes.
For sure, because also that was the one moment where Coffee actually had a fair chunk of his stuff getting towards the middle of the map. So that's prime time for the Protoss to be getting in there and doing that big warp in of Zealots that feels impossible to clean up. So as it stands, Coffee's still sort of posturing out here. He hasn't committed to anything too big just yet. But he's just upgrading and upgrading and upgrading, starting to mix in the ghosts and that extra production now as well. So it looks like these guys actually may not properly clash until we hit that sort of maxed out supply.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, like heading into a no rush kind of game in the middle here. They've had some pokes. Coffee's tried to drop a couple times. Oh, he thinks he's got enough Vikings for this fight. He actually does have a considerable amount of Vikings, and he has +1 on them just now. But I am thinking that MacSed's army is getting very, very powerful. He's made the Dark Shrine. He's got himself access to the Invisible Man. He's also got Disruptor Production. He's got the magic number of Colossi. Playing a very solid macro game, as MacSed, and keeping a tight hold of these 4-base infrastructure as well. Terran's 4th base, by the way, speaking of 4ths, on the way, flying down to the south side of the main base.
With MacSed sitting back so much, I feel like as a Terran, it would be so easy to just try and be super greedy. But they definitely have ways of punishing you if you do that. Oh, those ghosts!
Yeah, don't want to lose a ghost to a couple zealots for sure. Nearly does, but the medevac's going to give that ghost some healthcare and fix her up. All right, so wow, that's a lot of firepower here in that Protoss army. The Terran army is very, very high DPS against the gateway units, but they're doing me a heckin' concern on the amount of tier 3 robo here. Disruptors. Oh my god, that Nova going to the middle of the pack, but actually gets picked off. That Nova does not get picked off. That connects with the Marauders here. The Terran losing a lot, as is the Protoss though. That's a bit of a trade.
Jeez, yeah. That was a fair bit of carnage on both sides. The Disruptor's going to put an end to that chase for Coffee, and man, it's a bit of a clench moment with that first Disruptor ball getting into the thick of it there. That
was clenchy for sure. We're at that phase of the game where Coffee is going to be, heading towards max and swimming in a bit more minerals. You don't really have a whole lot to spend as Terran when you're getting closer and closer to max, so you start making a lot of command centers so you can drop a lot of mules, and also just, if in worst case scenario you lose a base to a zealot run by or something like that, you can just retake it.
Nice protection here of that third base location. Even repairs the wall there straight away. But this looks like the point where MacSed wants to push into, and that's actually going to be a little bit hard to get in there. But the Disruptor is what can make that happen if he really wants to press the issue. It is still a narrow choke to go through, though.
The more and more Disruptors hit the field, I get more and more concerned for Coffee to be able to win this game because he's not showing me anything that deals with the Disruptors. Now he's getting some Liberators, and Liberators on the way is great, but he needs to get there. He needs a convincing amount of Liberators, advanced ballistics. Then I start thinking, okay, we've got disruptor countermeasures. Our composition looks good as Terran. Right now, he's just on bio with Ghosts. And, a couple tanks, so they're being used defensively. He's not pushing with tanks. And I'm like, how do you push the Protoss who has this many Disruptors without those Liberators? And, oh, that was a good EMP on those Warpin charge loss. And again, these things have only got +1 armor, so they're getting shredded by these +3 attack fire units. Oh, no, he left the Ghost. Rip.
It looked like finally he found a hole in the armor of MacSed, but they're just big Zealot Warpin is enough to buy the time that he needed.
Excuse me, is that a nuclear missile being researched right now by Coffee? Is he trying to turn him into my favorite Terran ever? Is he trying to make a fan out of me?
Man.
Tell you what, Zeph.
That's the fastest way to a man's heart.
It is the fastest way to a Terran man's heart for sure, or a Terran lady's heart in that case. Like, you land a good nuke, then every Terran fan in the whole world's like, oh yeah, and they watch that clip over and over again while they have lunch.
Yeah, it'll be
Gives them
at
those
top of
endorphins.
Reddit StarCraft.
Yeah, always. Oh, yeah, every great nuke in StarCraft 2 at the high level gets put on Reddit StarCraft. You'll never miss one.
MacSed's still working on this angle. He finds it unattended and is able to take out that one tank, but he's still not quite able to commit to that location. But the invisible men are on the field.
no,
There's a
this is-
huge squad of them.
This invisible man gets a little bit too close to the cannon there. Up goes the missile. Oh, Insano set his camera hotkeys. Look at this guy. Is that an invisible man versus invisible man battle?
It was a short battle, but yes, it was.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Nuke gets denied there. Good catch from MacSed and Coffee. It's unfortunate that he ran into that cannon with a shift queue because I think that MacSed would have had a bit of a tougher time catching that red dot if it wasn't for the the warning sign earlier. Now these DTs swinging past that Widow mine actually out of range of it. Do they have Shadow Stride? Looks like they do. The jump on top of that planetary, that is dead. And yeah, the DT's just going to bounce. See you, mate.
What planetary? Wow,
Yeah.
that evaporated.
That planetary got killed so hard that like it's been removed from the annals of history. Like it never actually existed.
And they're going to keep patrolling around and looking for... Oh, that is not a great place to attack into. Retreat!
Yeah, the Viking count is beastly. You can definitely deal with the Colossi. It's just that the Liberator count and the Fusion Core is just finished, so we have no advanced ballistics here. Those convincing things against Disruptors are just not here for the Terran, so he's playing a bit of a losing battle, his Coffee, against this, incredible pressure from the Tier 3 Robo. That said, though, yeah, the Protoss is not actually cracking him, apart from that planetary getting picked off.
Like, once the Disruptor shots go off, I actually really like it for Coffee. He's got such a powerful army.
Man.
The big problem is going to be the DTs, as it always is for late game Terran. And Coffee, though, likewise doing some damage with these Liberators. And MacSed is far across the other side of the map. He's having to get some small groups of Stalkers in to deal with that. But that may continue to be a bit of a bother as Coffee tries to get some damage back on the board in his favor after all those DTs start rolling around.
Oh, big EMP there. Massive EMP going for the Disruptor pickoffs, diving in. Oh, man. Great split in the end there and a great dealing with the Disruptors. Just micro from Coffee being the answer. He's like, Liberators, what? I don't need those, Maynard, you silly, not good Australian commentator. I just split, dude. I just micro, bro. Don't worry about it.
Now, this attack on the right side for MacSed could be quite important, especially if he can flow through into the third, because I feel like Coffee actually... if he was able to hunt down that little force that was left over from MacSed's army, that could have been a big problem for MacSed because he doesn't really have the tools left to deal with that much of a force. But never mind, 3 seconds later, he's got carriers in the mix and more Disruptors, and this is where the compositions get a little bit quirky.
Yeah. Stuff's getting wild. It's actually still a very close game. One thing that's missing from MacSed is he hasn't got +3 armor just yet, but he is starting to make his army a bit more, a little bit more complex by adding in the carrier. These Disruptors are actually getting kind of, they're zigging when they should have zagged there. They're getting picked off by the Bio. Overcharged shield battery actually buying time for that Disruptor. And, Coffee gets the killer base. MacSed's been killing bases on his side, and he finally gets to pick a Nexus off.
15 SCVs have gone down as well. Coffee just cannot hold on to that right-hand side base, and he's also had to lift the main into the 4th base location. So I think this is actually starting to look pretty dire. That army's very hurt. There's a lot of Protoss on the front door, and great EMPs come down. He's going to try and get a concave, but the Disruptors are coming in, and they shred the right-hand side of that engagement. Does Coffee have enough left over to actually defeat this?
No, I don't know if he does, Zeph. Yes, the EMPs are pretty brutal. The ground army of the Protoss is starting to dwindle here. The air army also running out of interceptors. Oh, here comes a fresh carrier, but is that enough? The Vikings are actually doing a fair bit now, targeting down the capital ships. Oh man, this Protoss army just doesn't have firepower left, and the Stalkers have no hit points.
This is crazy. He got so much more value out of that Protoss army than I thought he would. Like, just zapping down tier 3 units. A lot of Liberators on the left there as a defensive mechanism, but I feel like you might want to take a couple back into the main mix because this army's still in tatters. I mean, both of them are, to be honest. They're both losing bases, and they both just lost a lot of money units.
A lot of Liberators being queued up for some harassment over at the 9 o'clock base by looks of things. Maybe potentially, going deeper than that. But the 9 o'clock is the only base that really is mining right now for MacSed. The main is super dry. Yeah, it's a good bit of pro damage there. Oh, man. The army for Coffee is getting really good here. So while MacSed does have, an army that's decent, and he's got the carriers which will regenerate interceptors and that sort of thing, and that's all well and good. And he's also going towards disruptors, which is fantastic as well. If Coffee continues to maintain this big of a supply lead, we're going to get to that point where MacSed needs to get like godlike disrupted novas. If he gets anything less than that, Coffee's going to just stim for the win. Roll through him.
Honestly, throughout this game, I feel like fight-wise, Coffee has just been better. He's gotten the better engagements. He's dived on the disruptors really well and split when it counted most of the time. So what's kept MacSed in it is just this absolute shredding of that right-hand side base and spreading Coffee a little bit thinner. And so he hasn't really had to deal with the head-on army in full force too much, but Coffee is looking for ways to do damage. He's going to march in here, preemptively EMP on top. He's going to have to withdraw a little bit, but can he get a fight here? I'm not sure. It's a very fortified position.
Yeah, tough to crack the nut over at the 9 o'clock base for sure. Over at 3 o'clock, MacSed's killed that base twice now, but this time MacSed actually doesn't have the units to split. Like, he can't afford splitting up this 76 army supply to go and harass the Terran right now. He needs all of his units on the front line to stop this army of Coffee. The good news is a lot of the army supply of the Terran is still in Vikings, which aren't too useful right now. I guess when the more and more Colossi come in, then they become useful again, but oh, the Zealots thread the needle here. It's right on the edge of that liberation zone. Just hold position there.
Yeah, just vibing, dude.
Yeah.
Another CC finishing up here as well. And we'll see, I guess, does he go bottom right with that? Yeah. All right, so we're going to split the maps to the corners over here. Another squad for Coffee over on the left, but MacSed's got stuff there to answer that. And, oh, you might want to pick up and get out. Ooh.
Oh, man, those Archons got evaporated. Firing at all three Novas there. One of them kind of connects, the other two whiff. This base is so dead. Always going for the recall. EMP's the Nexus to try and take its hit points down, but the recall does finish. Coffee diving super hard there.
Yeah, he's trying to get that value. Trying to find ways to beat MacSed back, and he goes over to the left again because he knows MacSed just recalled and there's nothing here to defend. One carrier, LOL, that's not going to do it. He's going to wait for friends. And he's going to take out that Nexus, and Coffee's starting to gain some momentum here. Yeah,
one carrier, LOL. All two disruptors in the middle of the map. Like, Coffee is just having the time of his life right now. He's maintaining a lovely army supply lead, and like I mentioned, MacSed doesn't have the ability to split up his units. He doesn't have the army supply of the luxury to do that. So Coffee knows this. He's like, I'm going to go over the left side, pick off 9 o'clock. A full medevac died there, unfortunately, for Coffee, but still maintaining a lovely supply lead and still pressuring that Nexus on the right side. MacSed trying to intercept over here. He actually has a pretty good army here. It's not very big, but it's got a lot of splash damage potential, which is what you need against this army of the Terran.
That is going to get taken out. Coffee is so far having success at securing that bottom right. Going to try and add some missile turrets there to make that an easier point to defend when MacSed finally marches down there and discovers what is right next to his own base. And Coffee moving back towards the left again. He's going to take that base too, and he's trying to keep MacSed from the left-hand side of the map because he knows MacSed isn't going to be looking to expand up the right. And MacSed may actually end up getting starved if he really can't get anything going here.
He's coming on in with his army again, running into this Terran meat grinder, the Coffee grinder, as we've been over just so much DPS. These Protoss units, they never had +3 armor, so these charge loss are just that little bit extra squishy, but of course, it is all about the Colossi, it's all about the Novas. Can he get that splash damage connection, and can he take out the Bio Ball here of Coffee? It is possible. MacSed's army is getting big again. Oh, the Vikings coming in on this Colossi. Colossi kind of having a bit of a wonky time engaging the Terran with this island in the middle here, or this like hill mountain thing.
Dude, he's actually losing a lot from that.
Yeah.
The Colossi are all in super big danger.
Oh,
Disruptor gets sat down as well. This is actually
man.
ridiculous. Coffee's found such a great position here.
Oh, dude. If I was Coffee, I'd try and nuke the army here. But luckily for all the Terrans out there, I'm not Coffee, because I would throw this game by trying to do that. Recall in the main, but Coffee's already set up the libs, so as MacSed comes in, he's going to be taking those lib shots. He's going to be losing disruptors here. All of his comeback utensils, which are these disruptors, which are these Archons, are just dying for libs, as we can see there. Not a single disruptor fight off its Nova. And now the Archons are stuck as well. That recall from MacSed was a desperation maneuver, but not a good call.
Yikes. That's pretty rough. Recalling to the main to own the libs. And he's got the rest of the Terran army is actually pretty weak over here on the right-hand side, but the Protoss force isn't that big itself, and he just has no answer for that main base force from Coffee either. He's just, I think he's just got to go and hope for the best with what he's got left.
Yeah, Terran, I mean, he's going to lose these medevacs for free, which is nice. But as far as fighting forces go, unfortunately for MacSed, that is it. Over here on the right side, there's a lot more where that came from. There's this Liberator holding the choke point as well. These Liberators have done a fantastic job zoning for Coffee, trading really, really well. And this is MacSed's entire army right here. This entire army of MacSed needs to win the game for him. And I don't know if it can. I don't think so.
Yeah, Coffee doesn't exactly have overwhelming numbers either, but he's producing, put it that way. He's got money.
One player is building stuff and the other one is not. That's the... That's why we're feeling it for the Terran here. Like, yeah, we're watching MacSed on camera doing a lot of damage, but does he win the game is what we're concerned about here for MacSed. Coffee is continuing to build more and more Marauders, and as the Marauder count gets higher and higher, there isn't anything in MacSed's army that actually can beat Marauders. Like, imagine 10 Marauders with a medevac showing up right now. That's just, yeah. And MacSed taps, sees the extra Liberators, goes, ah, man.
Now that was a video game. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we got the good games in at the last best of 3 of the evening, which is, you know, better late than never. So there we go. Great TVP there. Coffee looking really good. If you guys mind back in that game, remember at one point when MacSed was winning super hard?
Yeah.
He was.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a good half-hour run out of them, and that was only the first game, folks. So that's pretty exciting because it looks like still they're very evenly matched, and that went the distance. But Coffee, man, he just knows how to attack.
Indeed. Really great game one there. I hope game 2 is anywhere near as good, and we'll enjoy it together straight after the break. Guys, don't go away. We'll see you then.
Hey.
What's happening there? Hi. Hey, didn't see you there. We're casting StarCraft over here at the DreamHack Masters Chinese main event. I'm Maynard, with me is Zeph. Production was like, okay, guys, countdown in... No, actually, you're live. Sorry. You know what? We're kicking goals here for ESL Australia. Those guys have been putting on a beautiful broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, you know what we've done? We've shortened the broadcast by getting rid of that filler video. We're like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Rogue pump up his trophy again. Like, aren't we just tired of Rogue holding up that trophy and going, oh, I won another $100,000, yay? We see that video all the time, every day, every series.
We need a counter. Did you have this thing as a kid where you have like the jelly bean jar and you have to guess how many jelly beans are in the jelly bean jar, and if you the closest guess wins it?
Yep.
You could have something like that, but for the number of times Rogue raises the trophy in one broadcast.
Oh. Well, okay, let's do the math. It depends on the number of series of the day, the number of games is in those series, and also how long the series are, because we also very rarely will have cases where there will be a series that game one is so fast that we don't have an ad break, but usually there's an ad break up to game one. So you have to factor that in. And then when we get to best of fives, there's 2 ad breaks if we get to the 4th game.
Exactly, but then you have like the odd technical issue. You need to take a quick break, you know?
Guess the Rogue trophy pumps. All right.
All right.
My head, I'm like trying to figure out so hard that I'm actually
I can
forgetting
see you
that
doing maths there.
Yeah. I need to pull out of this because I'm gonna start sitting here and thinking about it. And first of all, we need to be talking about this game 2 coming up here between Coffee and MacSed. And second of all, you should never do maths on stream as a broadcaster. That's something that we've been learning. Like the fact that we haven't learned that lesson after 11 years is...
no one has. No one has.
The commentators still keep trying to do maths live on camera, and it almost always goes badly. It's just it's a negative EV play.
Yeah, you only ever think of it after you've already committed the crime. But yeah, here we are. We will be hopping into checks notes, light shade here in a second.
Yeah,
I have poor memory, guys. I have to write everything down. But that was a banger of a first one.
Lightshade was a really good map for XY actually against MacSed. Actually did a very, very good job on it. I do feel like normally Protoss does quite well, but keep in mind that MacSed went for a bit of a weird strategy on Lightshade. He did the Robo no Twilight Council adept drop thing, which is just a little
highly unsuccessful.
Little underdone, little raw, you know, not quite there. So I hope that MacSed pulls up his socks and we get a game 3 here. And it's the ball is in his court. His Coffee is on match point right now.
That's exactly right. I know I've been adamant that MacSed is going to make it happen, and that first game did give me faith, but I don't know. Coffee looks like he might still be on fire this season, Maynard.
Yeah, he certainly is. Coffee getting hot. That's the way I like to drink it. You know what I mean?
Very nice.
That's why they pay me barely minimum wage on my Twitch stream. In the bottom right, from Invictus Gaming in the red, this is MacSed.
Okay. And his opponent, also from Invictus Gaming in the blue, this is Coffee.
All right. So again, Lightshade, not a great map for MacSed last time he played PvT here. He's going to go for the Reaper Wall. Just hope he... if you can get that 3 Nexus set up, get that triangle set up with the multiple Colossi out, very hard Terran to push into you. But you got to get there. You got to survive. Amazingly, Coffee hasn't shown us any 3-Rex games yet. He's only played 1 game, but...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is now the time? Is this the moment?
I think so. I like that he's done... So this can really get into the head of a Protoss if they're a little bit stressed out. Is when you deliberately build the depot but don't finish it, so that you can basically completely deny the probe from scouting. And the SCV pathing through that depot there into the other side. So this is going to make MacSed's wheels turn a little bit here. He's like, oh, okay, I got a cyber core before the Nexus because this could be a proxy. This, I'm not too sure about that. Like the barracks is built at what looks to be a normal time, but there are some builds from Terran when you can make the barracks look like a regular time, but also have another barracks across the map.
Just going to be a CC, a fast CC, right after that. And yeah, he's just going to double check that, okay, there's nothing too wild happening out here. And meanwhile, Coffee will continue the normal Terran plan, heading up into the factory starport, and then we'll maybe see some aggression. So what is MacSed going to do? I know previously when he's gone up against Time, for instance, he's actually done like a lot of 3-gate pressure kind of stuff. And I feel like, I don't know, the stuff he's done so far hasn't been that successful in terms of doing damage to Coffee that would really sway which way the game's going to go, or you know, prevent Coffee from executing his plan here.
Well, plan for MacSed is not super clear just yet. He's doing very normal Protoss things, second and third gateway, just to set up a bit of a Hellion wall. He's not super sure what's coming out of the Terran. In fact, he's going to go not for the third gateway just yet. He's actually going for the Robo now in the natural. And Terran is going to go for the Widowmine drop by the looks of things. So it is a very normal build for Coffee, and likewise for MacSed, a very normal build for Protoss, for the most part. Three gate Robo is, you know, you can expand behind that. Very, very normal.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the mine drop last time for Coffee started off pretty decent, but MacSed did deflect it quite well, so...
Now, what is not normal, though, is, again, like, what's a little strange is, again, it seems like MacSed's cutting the Twilight Council, no?
Who needs him?
Is he going to Prism again? Does he believe that hard in his strategy?
Alright, Ops first. Yeah, we'll see where he goes with this. Because he has in the past just kind of gone, you know, made a few units and started to poke. Maybe he has the Prism, maybe he doesn't. But nonetheless, he is going to need a few units out to deal with the impending mine drop from Coffee, which is now headed across the map. He's still got that probe pathing in the middle of the grass, but even if he didn't, looks like the hallucinations found him out.
Yeah, I mean, the Widowmine drop has been found by MacSed, and Coffee actually, you know, baited the Hallucinated Phoenix into his Marines and gunned it down. Maybe, you know, trying to make MacSed breathe a bit of a sigh of relief, thinking, oh, maybe the medevac's picking a different angle now, but it's the same angle. See, the Stalkers actually left the main for now, thinking that the Widowmine drop has thought better of it, better part of valor, disengage. Nice catch from Coffee, actually, that single Marine delaying the third Nexus. Sweet.
Yep. And MacSed is sticking on that Robotech, grabbing the Forge as well. So we can see that he does want to have a bit of a longer game as usual. He loves his 3 base. But will he be able to hold on to it? Because Coffee behind this... Ugh! Get on out of there! Alright, he's fine. Coffee is going to have, you know, that sort of bio-tank composition in the early stages, and he may be able to pressure with that.
This Nexus of the Protoss going down just after 5 minutes here. And we are getting the Twilight Council up, but like after the Colossus production has started to round out, so a bit of an odd path to get there, but it kind of makes sense. Like as long as he sits at home. If he's going out there with Stalkers without Blink, I get concerned, but if he's just sitting there, I guess I get it.
Yeah, I wonder if this is an anti-Coffee build going, okay, I know you're pretty good at 3 racks, I know you've got these 2 base pushes, I like to get a 3rd base, and you're probably going to try and do something about that. So I want Colossi. I want a lot of them, and I want them early, and I want extended thermal lance so that when you do arrive, I have what I need to defend against this. Because that's kind of how we died earlier, right? In the previous game. It's just a little bit rough trying to defend this location when you only have your first Colossus has just hit the field not too long ago. You're still kind of waiting for the tech to kick in.
SCV coming up and seeing, hey, where's that 3rd Nexus at? Thought a probe was going up here before. So it is the triangle pattern, though. The 7 probes down here by that base. Raven coming down with 4 Marines picking off that Observer. Always nice to utilize the Raven in that regard. Don't need a scan, can just drop mules. Thank you, Raven.
Now, we've seen no third CC, right, from Coffee. He's just going to go for it off the 2 base.
Yeah, it's 3 barracks production on 2 base, though, so it's not all in.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been producing a ton of SCVs, and it is a pretty late third, so... there it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty dedicated assault. It's one of those pushes where I don't think it's all in, but it also, if it goes badly, he's in a ton of trouble.
Yeah, that's when you kind of lift the third back up and shove it in your main for a bit while you try and deal with the imminent Protoss threat. But let's see how we go. We do have that first push coming out. It'll be setting up shortly. And I don't believe there's anything else out on the map for Coffee at the moment, so it's purely this frontal assault. There's the disable on the cluster right away, and MacSed getting flashbacks from a previous series from tonight.
Well, the good news for MacSed is at least these siege tanks aren't in the natural, and he has 3 Colossi this time, and he has extended thermal lance. So those things are all going better for Protoss. Is it enough to make the difference? The Raven gets picked off. Those Colossi are doing real good work on the bio, which frees up room for these charge lots to do the rest on the tanks. And yes, indeed, MacSed will hold. It was not for free, but it is a hold.
Yeah. That's what that's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot more success here so far for our friend MacSed, and he keeps all those juicy units intact too, so he's got a little bit to work with rather than being in a situation where he's unfortunately lost all his tech. And already we're seeing Templar come into the mix, and you were talking about earlier how, all right, well, it's not all in, but you know, Coffee may be in a little bit of trouble if he loses too much stuff at the front. So Coffee still just sitting at home and making some more army. We'll see when he dares to try and move that third out there.
With that production laundry list here for the Terran. There's tons coming down for Coffee as he starts to round out his technology, and also, you know, producing the anti-Colossus countermeasures, the anti-Stalker and charge lock countermeasures. And he's on his way to the +1 armor as well. Looks like MacSed's actually not getting to the next upgrade. He definitely can afford it, and maybe waiting to bank up a bit more money to get around off of this prism. Yeah. The answer is yes.
Gonna add in another Archon for good measure and see what he can do. There's actually nothing at home to defend against this small squad of units coming in for Coffee as MacSed starts to beat down the front door here. 1 cannon and 3 zealots probably isn't going to cut it here.
Yeah, I mean, the tank's doing insane work from the back line. Recall, in fact, from MacSed's back line of Colossi to help with his counterattack, which kills the natural nexus. Excuse me.
Hello? Oh my goodness. These Archons holding their own for as long as they can on the front lines here. They're actually cleaning up a surprising amount of stuff. That sentry. So female zealots trickling in, but I think he's kind of done here at the front. He doesn't have a whole lot left, but he is still sort of rallying out to the middle of the map. Maybe he wants to try and punch through.
I think that MacSed's got himself into a pretty wonderful spot here, even though he lost his natural and took a lot of damage from a counterattack there from the Terran. It's safe to say that 33 SCVs is also a lot of damage. Would you agree, Zeph? Do you concur with my analysis?
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. It's on the north side of a lot. And unfortunately, that means that the economy of the Terran is terrible right now. So that means that MacSed... Honestly, I would like for MacSed to pull back and chill. You know what I mean? Get up the next level of upgrades, because at the moment he's kind of like really committed to push with this army, and he maybe thinks he can win the game with this army, and maybe he can. Maybe he's right, but it would be great if he was getting further ahead. You know what I mean? Like getting more upgrades, getting more technology down, going into disruptors maybe, like stuff like that.
I don't mind him taking a stab at the third here to try and get rid of it, but just don't overcommit, right? Because he doesn't have that big of an army. This can still turn bad for him if Coffee gets a really good engagement there. But I can see with that fight clearing out a lot of the Terran force, he's kind of antsy. He's like, oh, maybe like if I can just go in there now, I'll have just enough to overwhelm, but that's not the case. So he's got to just chill, let Coffee have that for the moment. He's got a warp prism loaded up, going to come back home and try and defend against this hit squad from Coffee.
Attempt to drop into the main base, and Blink is actually not done, so the drops are a little bit more powerful than they should be. Coffee going for the Nexus pickup again.
Oh, he's going to get it.
Coffee doing his best Holt impression here.
Oh, man.
No
That's
blink.
rough.
No blink, no punish. This is why Protosses get blink against Terran.
No blink, no punish, but even then he like has 4 whole stalkers, 6 now. He's trying to split up and deal with this drop still, and Coffee's just trying to bounce between the bases now. He does have the Warp Prism in the main, but it looks like there's enough here to clean this up.
Yeah, the Prism's going to die to the Viking, but I mean, that drop, it was just Zealots, and it got a tank, it got a few units out of the barracks as well as some SCVs, so pretty good for MacSed, honestly.
Finally getting closer to that next upgrade for MacSed as he continues to try and beef out this gateway force a little bit in front of the heavier tech units that he does have in the mix. These medevacs are kind of a bit trapped. One gets taken out.
Yeah, kill that Archon. There you go. Yeah, girl, get it. There it is. About 450 gas worth of kills there. Good stuff. Oh, medevac's getting forward a little bit. Blink is done now. Not that many stalkers.
Some good revenge if you can get at least one more medevac. There we go. Finally. But yeah, he's pretty scarce on the stalker thing. So I like the play there from Coffee, abusing that a little bit. And just trying to bounce him around, keep him at home as well, because MacSed's definitely not moving out while that's happening.
Zeph, you're not going to believe this, but because the Protoss has been so desperate to just hold on to 3 bases, that 4th has only just begun at the nearly 13-minute mark. And Coffee's SCV count is actually where it should have been minutes ago. So the game's kind of reset here. Because they've done so much damage to each other that it's like the mid to late game, but happening at the 13-minute mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's even down
a little bit.
It's like no clear winner at the moment, I think. It's actually quite close.
It's just one of those situations where it's a bit difficult for either one to finish the other off, because they're both sort of in tatters for a moment. And it's a bit of a will they, won't they for a minute, and then they back off. And now we've got a situation where they've both got a fairly thick army again. MacSed has a bit more supply in tow. Does he have enough to crack through the Terran here? Because he's walking into a fortified Coffee position, and EMP goes off to start things off, and MacSed turns and moves right out of that position.
And this is why I say there's no clear winner, is that because, yeah, MacSed's got a much bigger army, but the entrenched position of the Terran, this high ground as well, is very, very tough to attack into. The ghost spells, of course, going to EMP everything that comes in range, and MacSed's just finding it hard to get an angle where he can trade really, really well. Oh, medevac's actually loaded up there for a second. He's going to try again with the Stalkers, going to Sense Tower. Anything he can do like that, you know, just trying to keep the Terran guessing. Maybe the Terran's out of position and he finds the weakness in the armor here of Coffee, and then capitalizes on it, gets into the soft underbelly of the crunchy exterior of the Terran. These Liberator's going to... Oh, no.
False. They will not.
They false, they will not. Forget it. Don't even finish that sentence. I'm ashamed I even began it.
Unacceptable. MacSed splitting up a little bit here. Maybe trying to pull Coffee out of position or try and distract him a little bit so that he can get in. But honestly, like, wait for those next couple of disruptors, wait for those upgrades, and maybe then go, because I think it's so hard to attack into Coffee right now. Unless he catches this force as it's coming out on the map, but he's sort of dealing with the Liberators at the moment, so he's not necessarily 100% focused on that, although that said, he is moving straight towards this Terran force. He's going to try and push it away.
I get where Coffee's coming from, but right now it's like not where TVP normally is. I think he might be running on muscle memory, where he's like, oh, I attack now, right? Because normally my army's bigger, but at this point it is not bigger. It would have been bigger if this was a bit more of a normal PvP, but yeah, it looks like he's actually falling pretty far behind to the army supply of MacSed, who's you know, not probing super hard, but he's making a lot of units.
Yeah, that's a huge army. That is a really huge army, and it's got...
Huge.
All the juicy bits in it too. We've got Archons, we've got the Disruptors, we've got the Colossi. So that's a lot of splash to deal with. And while he does have Ghosts in the mix to help him out, it's not like he has a giant Terran force. Like, this is kind of it. This is what he's fighting with on the front lines at the moment. No tanks in sight. Only a couple of Vikings. He's just coming in now with those tanks to try and siege up. Still harassment coming in at the same time. He's targeting down that Nexus. So many disruptables, all at once.
Yeah. Oh, man. MacSed and Cyan, very similar, and they shoot every disruptor at once, which is, you know, it did the job. It got rid of the tanks, which is great, but it didn't win the game, which I feel like if you're throwing out the disruptors a little bit more intermittently and a little bit more deliberately, carefully, you could have won the game right there. You know, killed the bio, forced him back, picked off the planetary, or, you know, whatever. But in that sense, he fired off 5 disruptors and killed 2 tanks, which may be, you know, maybe enough. Like, I still think that MacSed's looking good here. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, that looking so good. Look at that. Oh, absolute carnage.
Oh my god, he's tearing apart the Terran at the moment. He's tearing the Terran apart. Oh, SCVs.
Oh, the SCVs.
Laser beams.
GG. MacSed evens it up.
Ah, beautiful. Gonna go to game 3 here between these two heavyweights of the region. Coffee, the 21-year-old up-and-comer, and it's really weird to call him an up-and-comer because he's been in, like, WCS North America Challenger back in 2019, he didn't qualify through Challenger, but he got to Challenger, which is still great, a sign of his pedigree. And then he's up against MacSed, who's been around forever, so it's like the old guard versus the new. And a very, very fun series. Like, both game 1 and game 2 have been very action-packed, very neck and neck. One player in the lead, swinging over with the other player in the lead, comebacks, huge damage. 2 neck side died in this game. It's good stuff. I loved it.
Yeah, this is becoming quite a good pairing to watch, despite the head-to-head stats leading to believe that it would be more heavily favored one way or the other. They really have taken each other to task here, and it's been hard to find a clear winner in each scenario because it's just both of them have survived well and they've traded a lot of blows. The Nexus kills for Copy were a really big deal. Like, this caused MacSed to sit back for so long to just try and re-establish a solid base from which to attack.
And this is the final battle there in the end. Maybe criticizing MacSed a little bit with some of his fights, but at this point, he was 50-60 army supply up, and it's just as simple as A moving at that point. Like, you could even see he was losing disruptors and units like that at the front of his army, but it did not matter. He'd done everything correct to that point where he's allowed to do stuff like that, and nitpicking doesn't make sense. So, well played to MacSed. Very, very clean game 2, at least the last half of it, after recovering from his Nexi being picked off. Nexus's Nexi. Tomato.
Yeah. I haven't heard anyone say Pult's name in a long time before you said, oh, he's pulling a Pult or something like that.
I've
with him saying the Nexuses.
There's a lot of old school references to StarCraft that I like to that come to mind, but I try not to bring them up because I know that there's a lot of new fans. Obviously, there's a lot of old fans out there as well. But I try not to do too many old StarCraft memes because it's almost like doing an in-joke on a broadcast. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want the new people showing in, and like there would be people watching StarCraft like now that don't know who Pult is. Never seen Pult.
Yeah, they don't know what like an Idra GG is.
Yeah, Idra GG, Leather Gracket,
that was such a good one
Artosis
too.
Pylons, like all that stuff is like stuff that we do say as commentators. Well, like new fans would be like, "What?"
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't really think about that. I guess like we've been doing it so long, it's just like an automatic thing, but. Yeah, maybe someone needs to do a StarCraft terminology guide so that the new fans can catch up. It's kind of like being hip with all the latest Twitch emotes, man. I can't do it. People, like, you do it as well. You say, excuse me, you say it out loud like the emote that it is, and I have no idea.
Yeah, I have a very
what it is in chat.
I have a that terrifying story of the one time I said a Twitch emote in public, and now I'm. To a stranger.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll tell chat the story. I think Zeph knows the story, but I'll tell chat the story.
Yeah.
Went to the doctor and had some just some regular health stuff. Nothing serious, but it was one of those things where it came back negative, which is great. You don't want a positive result at a doctor. So it came back negative, and I was like, oh damn, poggers. And the doctor went, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. That's great. And I just took the paper and left. So, and then I'm like, wow, I'm going to retreat to my cave and never leave my house ever again. I'm too embarrassed.
Well, I mean, as a result of that, it looks like your stream's going pretty well. So good on you.
Yeah, we've, as the entire world knows right now, we're barely cracking minimum wage for Australia here at Twitch for Maynard. It's happening.
Yeah. Stream life, perhaps not as glamorous as some thought. It's
perhaps not, but as I say, I've said it multiple times on my stream. I'm not one of those people that's extremely upset about like everything being leaked and that sort of thing. As some of the streamers are, I'm a little bit annoyed just because I like privacy, but in that sense, I'm not really bothered by it. But I always say on my stream, like as long as you are doing what you love and you can still pay the bills and you can still live, then life's good. You know what I mean?
That's the dream.
That's the dream, exactly. And in the bottom left here, in the blue, from Invictus Gaming, the Terran player. This is Coffee.
And over here in the top right, in the red, his teammate. This is MacSed.
Once teammates, now enemies. The ancient laws of combat. That's what I love. I think this is the reason why I have stuck around with StarCraft for so long, is I am one of those people that just can't get enough of 1v1 esports. I love fighting games, FGC stuff like Evo when that kicks around. I absorb all of that. I loved Quake. I still love Quake. It is just not that many players, especially in Oceania. You get to, you know, watch the duel of just mano a mano, man. So it's like a pure version of the contest for me. I think that's part of the reason why I think StarCraft's so great.
If you aren't regularly watching StarCraft, what would you be watching? Which esport? Week to week.
I probably watch a little bit more fighting games. Honestly, don't watch much esports at all at the moment. It's really been all, you know, StarCraft or bust. Actually, when QuakeCon was on, I was watching a fair bit of the QGC.
Yeah, nice.
Quake WCS, basically.
Yeah, I'm a bit boring as well. I mostly... It's kind of StarCraft or nothing. I'm not interested in team games. I have watched a little bit of Apex recently because people are back on that hype train. But yeah, it's kind of a lot. Like, I think it's only exciting for like the last couple of circles.
Wifenard no lifes that Apex. They have an arena mode in it now where it's 3v3, and I think that's like a little bit more esportsy. Honestly, I don't like battle royale esports, but the arena thing I kind of like. That's a mode that I played a little bit with wife now. She loves it. Hey, there's that 3 racks we were looking for, by the way, Zeph. Just talk about StarCraft for a minute. The 3 racks here from Coffee. That timing attack. It's your boys. It's your boys' TVP build back from when I used to play this game. This is a great timing attack. Very, very powerful. It's a lot of Protosses generally scout it though. It's pretty easy to scout, but once again, MacSed. We'll see what he does with this robo, but he has been strange with the robo in earlier series. It's like you would think it'd just go into Observer, send it across the map, but he's gone fast prism before, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Yes, but this also gives him that opportunity to go straight into Colossus again if that's what he wants. He's definitely going to need something beefy in the mix to defend against the 3 racks, because the 3 racks can hit so fast. But yeah, he has been very focused on getting those 3 base, getting Stalkers, getting Colossus so far. So yeah, hopefully with the vision he can tailor his response appropriately so that he doesn't get absolutely bopped by the giant Terran squad that's going to show up at his doorstep.
Yeah, so the power of the 3 racks is going to have a lot of Marines. Sometimes some versions of it have them ordered it. Some versions have a fast 3rd CC. Some versions have a fast engineering bay for +1 attack. You might be able to tell that I'm a bit of a fan of this build and its variations. But there's that prism from MacSed, and this is the kind of strat what MacSed's doing right now that 3 racks is actually quite good against. So yeah, on paper I kind of like this for Coffee, apart from the fact that he's 46 supply locked. That was a little bit naughty there for a second, but just about unblocked. All good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same build he did in that first game versus XY, where he got nothing really. Like, he got to drop the units off, but maybe they only killed a couple of workers. It keeps the Terran busy a little bit, but Coffee is just gonna go. He's just gonna head straight across. He's got plenty of production coming out to deal with the 2-3 units that are going to be dropped in, at least initially. So MacSed, having spotted with the Observer what's going on, we see him now trying to warp in a little bit more. He's getting a shield battery model not too far off, so let's see how Coffee handles this warp prism.
It's the magic number of those 3 adepts, just like he tried on Lightshade against XY. And is going to get some SCVs killed, but gets shoot out of the main base. I guess the main thing that MacSed's done here is he's spotted the 3 racks. He's starting shield batteries back at home. But that's still a lot of Marines. Oh, actually, overcharged shield battery. I think MacSed might be okay here.
He's got sentries to ward that off as well, so yeah, Coffee can't just straight up punch through. He's already used his stim. He's stimming in the main as well to get rid of the warp prism, and you see him hesitate here on the front lines as he pays attention to that for a moment. And because he's already stimmed, now his units are damaged, he's actually just going to head out of there being like, yeah, look, I don't think I'm going to crack through.
Yeah. So it doesn't kill the Protoss. In fact, a lot of worker damage happened on the Terran side of the map, so it ended up being a pretty good, you know, settling of affairs there for MacSed. See the trades, quite nice.
Yeah, well handled by MacSed. He's done well for himself, and now we see him just go up in the tech, go straight to taking that third, and this is back to the conventional build for MacSed, really just going up that tech tree and trying to power the economy back up so that he can get to that composition that he enjoys so much. But Coffee looks like he's still sort of sharking around to try and do some damage.
Yep. I mean, you have a lot of bio. This is the power of this build is that you have a lot of units. It's not all in either, but it's a that's basically the main thing you got going for you. So you're going to be active, and the Protoss just needs to survive, basically. And so far, MacSed's done a great job of it. He's getting up his third Nexus. Still a lot of bio here from the Terran from those 3 barracks. +1's about to finish as well, so this is a big power spike for the Terran here. There's a window right now where Coffee has a much better army than MacSed until the Colossus hits the field and Thermal Lance is done. Once that is done, then the turntables turn once again, and then the Protoss has got the stronger army.
Takes out the probe there at the north, and he'll start pecking away at that pylon. Looking for a drop here on the right-hand side. He's also got the squatter units, so he may just take out the pylon. I wonder, he might also be able to swing around back to the third.
Die for that Colossus. He's trying to body block it into the main base. No shield battery support, and he gets it.
Yes.
Huge. Great pick off there. Oh, he's going for the D-power on the Robo as well. Oh, Coffee.
Yeah.
My man. That's a good drop right there.
This is when Coffee starts to get really deadly, because he has a big force massing up towards the right-hand side of the map there as well. He's going to go head into that third base at the same time as dropping the natural, because MacSed still hasn't been able to clean stuff. There's not really anything to defend.
Yeah, this bio is going to shred that army. It's going to be ripped and torn to pieces. So much DPS on this ball of Marines and no Colossus to deal with them either. Without the Colossus, the army of the Terran is just too strong, too high DPS, too swarmy. And oh, MacSed is folding here. He's lost his third Nexus. He's lost 11, 13, 14 probes. GG, Coffee. Oh man, that game went from 0 to